Welcome to lesson number 4, Daniel chapter 8. It's huge. This is a big one. Hopefully, you've already watched the first 3 lessons. So Revelation chapter 17, Revelation chapter 18, Daniel chapter 11, and you've seen how they have built on top of each other. Now, more is connected, a lot more. So if you haven't watched the first 3 lessons, I strongly recommend that you go back and watch those, because there's so much information that we pick up on in those and we build on top of this one here. Otherwise, if you just start with this one, you're going to end up going, oh, what about this or what about that? And so anyways, hey, just trying to help you out. Enjoy it. And then please leave a comment and like it so that it gets more exposure. We want everyone to see this information. And you've already seen from the first 3 lessons how important this is. It's going to help a lot of people to not get down the wrong rabbit hole of misinformation that's being pushed out there. So anyways, enjoy. God bless. Hello, you wonderful sons and daughters of God, my brothers and sisters. And because you're my brothers and sisters, I particularly am anxious to share this insights and discoveries with you, because it can really help a lot of you. And so this is Daniel chapter 8 and also 12. Fantastic information we learned from it. I want you to also make sure that you have a prayer in your heart, because this is a great opportunity to have a feast of faith in Christ. We're going to be talking about amazing discoveries over here, and I want to show you this here. Daniel chapter 8 is the second greatest foundational chapter out of all the Bible. Hopefully you saw the last clip around Daniel chapter 11, that Daniel chapter 11 is the greatest chapter out of all the Bible. And here we are talking about the second greatest one. And why? Why is it so great? Well, one thing is that Daniel chapter 8 begins to be fulfilled around 2014 and ends with the return of Christ in power and glory. And Daniel chapter 8 prophecies have been found to include amazing discoveries and insights, with others yet to be revealed, such as discovered. The 2 horns of the ram represent Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran and President Erdogan of Turkey. Discovered. Case can be made those 2 leaders have been pushing to the west, north, and south since about 2014. So prophecy in progress. Discovered. July 17th, 2016, President Erdogan of Turkey is higher than Khamenei. Prophecy fulfilled. Discovered. Grisha is referencing the United States regarding this moment in time. Discovered. While President Trump is in office, the United States will do a massive attack and remove from power Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran and President Erdogan of Turkey. After the attack, President Trump will wax very great, and when he is strong, he will be removed from power. Discovered. When President Trump leaves office, the United States will split into 4 nations. Huge discovery. Discovered. The 8th king in Revelation chapter 17 is first a king in one of the 4 nations, formerly the United States. Major discovery there. And there is more. After watching these first 4 clips, you have seen enough connections, correlations, discoveries, and insights as to be able to join in on the show conversations and not feel totally lost. And after watching these first 4 clips, you've seen enough to where if you still have questions about them, it's a good time to ask them. So just keep in mind that there's a lot more discoveries and insights to come, so watch the other clips and enjoy. And one last thing here is, and that is, please prayerfully consider making a token of appreciation. I've talked about before that the one thing I didn't want to do is say that you can't watch any of these clips unless you first pay me something. That did not feel right at all. I want everybody to know about this information. And but at the same time, I know that as you learn about how fantastic these insights and discoveries are, then you're going to want to help get this information out. And so rather than make it to where you had to pay first, I go, no. You have no idea how big, how great, how important, how awesome these discoveries are. So let's go ahead and have you start watching the clips, and then let's go ahead and ask you to chip in and make a token of appreciation. All right, guys. So that's it. Here we are. We're ready to get going on Daniel chapter 8. So let's go ahead and start with verse 1 over here. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw, that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in the vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. Well, what is all that about? We don't have to guess. We have an angel that told John or Daniel the answer, and Daniel recorded it. So let's go ahead and go over here to verse 19. And he said, this is the angel, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. So this is talking about the last days, guys. Now verse 20. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia. Wow, here we go. They're 2 kings. So now we know that they're 2 kings. Let's go ahead and see what happens with these 2 kings over here. In verse 4, and I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. All right, so these 2 horns, the ram, pushes to the west, north, and south. No one can stop them. They just keep on doing it, and they do according to their will, and they become great. Now let's go ahead and read a little bit more, and then we're going to take a look at the chart, and we're going to take a look at some other things here. Verse 5, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Okay, all right, so what is this he-goat? What is this he-goat all about? Well, look at verse 8 here. This is huge. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones towards the 4 winds of heaven. So after this he-goat, after that horn gets broken, then 4 come up in this place. But what is it meaning? We don't have to guess. We can come right over here, and the angel tells us the answer. In verse 21, the angel says, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia. and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now, that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 nations shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. Guys, in Daniel chapter 11, we learned that Grecia is the United States. And now we see that this first king that's being referenced in this vision about Grecia, that king is going to attack the ram. And the 2 horns of the ram represents Iran, Persia, and another country, Media. What country is that? So let's take a look at a few things over here. Over on the chart, I diagrammed out this over here in Daniel chapter 8. Now it talks about this ram has 2 horns, and I'm saying it's Khamenei and it's Erdogan of Turkey. Why? We'll get into that in just a second. But then I'm saying that it's President Trump, the United States over here, in that after Trump leaves office, whenever that is, however that is, then our nation splits up into 4 nations. This is huge. This is a huge claim. So let's take a look at why I'm coming to these conclusions over here. So let's look at this comparison. Over here we were reading in Daniel chapter 8, and we were reading that, but he, this is the ram, and did according to his will and became great. Yet when in Daniel chapter 11, when we were reading Daniel chapter 11 in verse 3, we saw that a mighty king shall stand up, which is the 4th king, and shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. Do according to his will here, do according to his will here, becomes great, and then becomes great down here. That's a matchup. It's the same war that is being described in Daniel chapter 8 as being described in Daniel chapter 11. This war between Grecia and Persia. So we know that it's Khamenei in the United States, but then there's this other country that was called Media, and that Media, that person, that king, is supposed to become higher than Khamenei. So then let's go ahead and just take a look at ancient Media. Ancient Media is this area here, and anciently it took in part of Turkey. So I've been watching this area, wondering who's going to become higher than Khamenei. And I kept watching year after year after year. And then in 2016, I started to watch President Erdogan of Turkey. He just seemed to be pretty forceful and looked like he was really trying to shake things up. And I kept on watching him, and I thought, you know what, he has a long ways to go before he becomes higher than Khamenei. But I'm going to keep on watching him. And then something fantastic happened. It was July 15th, 2016. It was a Friday. And news came out that there was a coup attempt on Erdogan over in Turkey. They were trying to get him out of power. And I was shaking my head, and I go, oh my gosh. And I thought he was going to have a chance of becoming higher than Khamenei. And now he's getting booted out of here. What's going to happen? All that day, I was just shaking my head going, man, I didn't see this one coming. But then Saturday morning, I learned that he got control over the country again. The coup attempt failed. And I just go, wow, what is going to happen here? He still has to become higher than Khamenei if he's the person that's being prophesied. And then the next day, Sunday, July 17th, 2016, you got to see this article here. Look at this article here. Muslim scholars around the world recognize President Erdogan as the supreme leader of the entire Muslim world. The entire Muslim world. That day, he became higher than Khamenei. Prophecy fulfilled. And you take a look at the past few years, and what has Iran and Turkey been doing? They have been pushing to the west and to the north and to the south. So that prophecy is happening right before us as well. And as you take a look at the tension between the United States and Iran, and it's been building up, and the tension between the United States and Turkey has been building up as well. I mean, here President Trump moved the U.S. Embassy over to Jerusalem, and Iran and Turkey was adamantly opposed against that. And then President Trump helped Israel to make this agreement with the UAE and also with Bahrain about having this relationship between Israel and them, and that's totally against Iran and Turkey as well. And then President Trump, Turkey is in a conflict right now with Greece over drilling rights in the Mediterranean Sea, and during this conflict, the United States tells Greece that they can start buying arms over their military weapons and everything, and Turkey is saying, why are you letting them to buy weapons? Here I am, and I'm in a fight with them. Why are you giving them weapons over here? And it just is building up. It's building up. So when people looked at the 2020 election, to me it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You take a look at the two candidates and you go, which one of the two candidates, Biden or Trump, which one looks like they could fulfill the prophecy of that right over here, verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And he goes over and he attacks Iran and Turkey, an ally, and it removes those two leaders. Does that sound like Trump or Biden? And remember, Biden and also Obama flew over $152 billion over to Iran and gave them that money. And in addition to that, they gave them the nuclear arms agreement over there. And Trump is the one that took away the agreement and said, no, we're not going to honor that agreement. And Trump is for Israel. And Trump and the Iranian leader, you're talking Ayatollah Khamenei, have been butting heads. It was a no-brainer. No-brainer. Trump is in prophecy. Now remember that this prophecy is about attacking Ayatollah Khamenei and Erdogan, not anyone else. It's those two leaders. And Ayatollah Khamenei, he's in his 80s. So guys, this is absolutely prophecy in progress right here. Daniel chapter 8, it's shaping up, and we're going to continue on now and read what else is going to happen here. So in verse 9, let's read verse 8 again, pick it up from there. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones towards the four winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great, towards the south, and towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. The pleasant land is Israel area, guys. We're talking about, okay, this king, what is he going to do? He waxes very exceedingly great towards these areas, including the Holy Land. Now, look at verse 10. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and out and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon him. Does this sound like a good king or a bad king? Does it sound like a powerful king to be able to do that? Now look at verse 11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. We read about the vile person of Daniel chapter 11 takes away the daily sacrifice, and we matched that up with him being the eighth king in the succession of 8 kings leading up to the return of Christ in power and glory. So now let's go ahead and take a look here. This is exciting. So we find that Revelation chapter 17 talks about this 8th king that gets the power, state, and authority of Satan, goes fight against Christ when Christ comes back in power and glory. We tied in that it's the same person as the vile person of Daniel chapter 11. And now we're learning that in Daniel chapter 8, it's talking about a king that starts off as being from one of these 4 areas, which was formerly the U.S. area. And now he's not one of the first 4 leaders of the 4 areas, but he becomes a leader eventually, and he ends up then becoming the leader, the 8th king, over here in the kingdom of the north, a kingdom of the north. So how does this guy from the United States area split up? He becomes a 8th king over in the Iran type of area over there, the 4th king in the kingdom of the north. Fantastic connection here. But how does it happen? We get more insight in the next clip, Daniel chapter 7. All right, but let's go back over here and pick up more information. So we learn over here that in verse 12, it's talking about the daily sacrifice is taken away, and we're going to go into Daniel chapter 12 and read about this as well and get more insight. But right now, let's go ahead and continue on from here and get more insight. Verse 13. Then I heard one saint speaking to another saint, and said unto that certain saint that which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Here we have it. It's about 2,300 days from the time that the sanctuary, the daily sacrifice, is taken away to the time that Christ returns in power and glory. So now we come back over here to the chart, and over here at the chart, we have it marked down here on the chart that this is when Daniel chapter 11, when it talks about the sanctuary being taken away and the daily sacrifice being taken away, and we got about 6 years from here to the return of Christ. And now you see where I came up with that is Daniel chapter 8, in which we get that from. And Daniel chapter 12 is going to give us more insight on that. But let's go ahead and hop back over to Daniel chapter 8 and pick up more information over here. Verse 15. And it came to pass when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for a meaning, then behold, there stood before me as appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep, on my face towards the ground. But he touched me, and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest, having 2 horns, are the kings of Media and Persia, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterwards I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. Could you imagine Daniel trying to describe what he saw in our day and in the days to come? Wow. But look back over here, verse 24, that this little horn, that his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice. And what is he going to do? He is going to destroy the mighty and the holy people. Now, guys, this is talking about this 8th king and the succession of 8 kings that get the power, seat, and authority of Satan and goes to fight against Christ when Christ comes back. And we're going to be learning more about what he does, where he does it. We talked about it over in Daniel chapter 11, the last clip. And I mentioned over there, and I'll mention over here, that this time of the 8th king is a time in which, let's go ahead and blow this area up right here so you can get it. But remember that in the first clip we talked about that the woman represents a city is on 7 mountains, and that city gets destroyed during the time of the 8th king, when there's 10 kings that give their power to this 8th king over here. They destroy this worldwide monetary system. And we talked about it in the first clip and the second clip, that we're not supposed to accept the mark of the beast. No way, not supposed to happen. And there's great plagues to happen to the people that do accept it. But anyways, now let's go ahead and blow up this area right here. And what I want to show you is that from this time here, it's about 6-7 years before the return of Christ, and now it is taking away the daily sacrifice, which marks that beginning over here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Daniel chapter 12, and we're going to read Daniel chapter 12, and we're going to learn that there's 2 segments in Daniel chapter 12, that one is about when the daily sacrifice is taken away, and also the abomination that maketh desolate is set up. Now that abomination that maketh desolate, that we learn more about in Revelation chapter 9, and we'll get to that in the coming clips. But I mentioned it over in the last clip, that in Revelation chapter 9, it talks about that there's an army of 200,000. If literal, that's an army of 200 million. That is the abomination that maketh desolate. And that army of 200,000 goes and kills 1/3 of the population. 1/3 of the population. So it looks like it's going to take some time from the time that the sanctuary is, the daily sacrifice is taken away, to the time in which this army, this massive army, is accumulated and ready to move in action. So we get a little more insight on this when we go to Daniel chapter 12. So let's go ahead and get right over to it. All right. So getting over to Daniel chapter 12, let's just begin at the beginning. It's not that long. In Daniel chapter 11, we had read the first two verses of 12, but let's go ahead and read the last verse of Daniel chapter 11. This is when the vile person shall plant the tabernacle of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. So this is the vile person. He's the eighth king in Revelation chapter 17. And the holy mountain is a Mount of Olives. And the seas is the Mediterranean seas and the Dead Seas. And so now let's pick it up in Daniel chapter 12. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that slept in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the other man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard a man clothed in linen, which was upon the river, waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. And many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,335 days. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days. All right, so let's go ahead and put the pieces together here. There's two sets of times. One is 1,290 days, and another set of 1,335 days. The difference is that the 1,290 days is the time from when the daily sacrifice is taken away, and the time in which the abomination that maketh desolate, that's that army of 200,000, is set up. So again, going back over here to the chart, we have it over here on the chart to where we got, so from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away over to the time that the 200,000 army is set up, it's during this time over here. And then the second set of time is 1,335 days, and that's this area here leading up to the return of Christ. So that's what those two time references are referring to. Now, great insight over here. One of the things I like is that, but the wise shall understand. This is great news, guys, because here we have this information that Daniel is told to seal up the book, and because it's for later time. But here's the thing, is that we're the wise of understanding. We're starting to see these prophecies playing out from Daniel chapter 11, Daniel chapter 8, and now here we are talking about them, these discoveries. We're seeing the prophecies being fulfilled. We are the children of understanding. And it also talks about that there's going to be these people that turn many to righteousness. This is awesome. That's our responsibility, right? Is to share this information and to help the wicked to understand that Christ is the Son of God. Christ is our Savior, our Redeemer, and that we're on track for Christ to come back in power and glory. Yeah, this is so amazing. Beautiful, beautiful insight here from Daniel chapter 8, Daniel chapter 11, and over here at Daniel chapter 8, we can see that this last king over here, the little horn king, I call him, that he's going to go and fight against Christ, the Prince of Princes, and he's going to be broken without hand. And if you may recall, in the first clip, it was about Revelation chapter 17, but we went into Revelation chapter 19, and we read verses 19, 20, and it talks about that when Christ returns in power and glory, that he's going to take the beast, the eighth king, and the false prophet, and he's going to cast them into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And here we see that he's broken without hand, and that's referring to that tie-in right there. Oh, fantastic information here. Yet, to find out that the United States is going to split up into 4 nations, oh my gosh. You know, for many, many years, people have laughed at me, saying, Lowell, no way, no way. But those people aren't laughing now. Now we can see it. There's this polarization going on in our nation, and it is getting poised to just split up. And here's what we got to keep in mind, is that we got this right over here. Let's get this here. Is that most nations around the world are going to accept the evil monetary system when it gets set up during the time of the sixth king. And I expect it to be set up by around 2033 area. But what causes it to get set up? We're going to be talking about it in one of the next few clips when we talk about Revelation chapter 6. But there's going to be asteroids or meteorites or something that are going to hit the earth so violently, and I think this is going to happen, if my guess is between 2029 to 2033. And it's going to move every mountain and island out of their place. And because of all that destruction, that we're going to need, that there's going to be a need out there for a new monetary system. And so this worldwide evil one gets set up because of trying to pick their feet up after that catastrophic event. But here, over the next few years, NASA, someone is going to come out and tell us that yeah, we do have these objects coming our way, and so when the news comes out, whether it be in 2021, 2025, that someone comes out with the scientific proof that we have these asteroids or meteorites or whatever that are going to come and hit Earth by the hundreds, that what's going to happen to the economy? What's going to happen to the economy? Now, again, is that going to happen in 2021, 2025? I don't know. But I would expect that it would happen by 2025. And so here we see that around 2025, we're going to get news that these asteroids or whatever are coming our way. The economy is going to go down, and the economy is going to stay down until after that event happens, which is going to be 2029 to 2033. And then the question is that, so when do you want to prepare as to where you want to live? Do you want to wait until everything has gone down, or do you want to move now while we have some type of an economy right now? And that's something that you got to pray about to Heavenly Father. You and Heavenly Father, your family, have to make that call there. And but all four of these nations are not going to say, we're not going to accept the monetary system. No. One or two of the nations aren't going to accept the monetary system. I'm hoping two, but for sure one. And so you got to decide, are you living in the nation that is going to accept the mark of the beast system later on, or are you in a safe place? So guys, it's been great to share this information with you, because I love you. I care about you, your family, your loved ones, and our brothers and sisters around the world. And it's so exciting that we can share this information, have a feast for our faith in Christ, and that we can also talk about these things and have a discussion and talk about how can we prepare the nation that we're going to be part of to be a nation that won't accept the mark of the beast, and to be a nation for freedom. Christ loves freedom, and have a constitution for liberty, for freedom, that we can help each other out. And the other thing is that, you know, we're not going to want to be part of the mark of the beast system. So what type of monetary system are we going to want to have set up for the new country that we're going to be part of? Fantastic conversations out of there, right? So I look forward to having you participate in the show and sharing these insights and everything. And we're going to have a great time. And thank you so much for taking the opportunity to make a token of appreciation. Really appreciate that. And need your help. We got a lot of work to do to spread this information around the world. God bless, and we'll see you on the next clip. Please like, comment, and share. Thank you.